Let's go. Yo, I'm like an addict, do I gotta have it. I ain't even playing, got a really bad habit. If it moves, gotta grab it, fuse like a magnet. Lose, won't have it till I'm doomed in a casket. I ain't playing, got a weird mind. If you work 8 hours, I'ma work 9. If the shit tastes sour, you should taste mine. I'ma stay in power for a long time. Get up, nah, I ain't a quitter. Toss me the ball, I'm a really big hitter. Big picture, I'm a straight killer. Rising the song to the highest bidder. Got juice, got gas, I'ma move fast. New shoes, new tracks, like who's that? I'm new, come back, better than last. Yeah, it's a new me, never gonna look back. I'm never gonna look back. Cause damn, I was built to last. You move slow and I move fast, and that's facts. Only I can make a change. Slowly take a step today. I will never be the same. Cause that's what it takes. In my veins, I've been driving this train. Years in this lane, there's no stopping this flame. Cause I came to the game and I changed it to play how I like, rearranged it to my own domain. Yeah, I got what it takes, made lots of mistakes. Taking shots, skipping breaks, feeling lost, feeling great. Popping off, singing straight, never stopped, never changed. All the squad here to play, and I've got something to say, yeah. I work hard each and every day. I get lost in the words I say. I don't push pause, no, I push play. I won't stop till I make a change. I withdraw on the things I make. I turn flaws into flawless traits. I build tall, never capped in space. I won't stop till I hear him say, oh, oh, la, 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 la. And I'm up again. I got tired eyes, need a cup of blend. That's right, in the AM, that's my only friend. No light, just the sun coming up on the horizon. I lose track of time, yeah, I move fast and climb a new class divine, yeah, true passion shines. And I'm through passing time, I choose stacking dimes. You snooze half the time while I move passing by. I work hard each and every day. I get lost in the words I say. I don't push pause, no, I push play. I won't stop till I make a change. I withdraw on the things I make. I turn flaws into flawless traits. I build tall, never capped in space. I won't stop till I hear him say, oh, oh, la, 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 la.
Hello, everyone, and welcome to another live stream with CreativePro. I hope everyone's hearing me okay. I have a little bit different setup today going on because my office is undergoing some unplanned and unexpected remodeling. So we have a whole new setup today, but I think it should be all good. I'm here, you're here, and let's do this. Um, let's take a look at what our agenda is for the day. We're going to be talking about Illustrator's Shape Builder tool. So let me know in the chat how many of you are regular Illustrator users. And if you are, how often do you use the Shape Builder tool? And maybe if you're not a regular Illustrator user, do you know about the Shape Builder tool? Because maybe if you did, you might become a more regular Illustrator user. I think that the Shape Builder tool is a real game changer. I do not pretend to be the world's gift to illustration. I use Illustrator a lot, but kind of more in a bit of a production sense, but the shape builder tool completely changed the game for me when I learned about it. So I'm really excited to be sharing it with everyone here today. So make sure you let us know where you're tuning in from and in the chat and what brings you here. And I'm looking forward to seeing who is all here today. So let me give you a preview of what we're going to be building. We're going to be building a scene like this one here. And we're not going to be using the pen tool for any of it. We're going to be using really simple shapes, like super simple. And then we're going to be using the shape builder tool to combine the shapes into what ends up being this fun beach scene that's perfect for summer. So really simple stuff here. Like I said, we're not even going to use the pen tool, which is great, but we're just really keeping it simple today. And I think you will be surprised. If you are familiar with Illustrator's Pathfinder panel, then you have an idea of what this is all about. But the Shape Builder tool is like a way more intuitive way of combining shapes that you would previously have had to do with the Pathfinder panel. And we can take a look at that. But if you have used Illustrator before, maybe you love the Pathfinder panel, but aside from like a few of the first functions, I never knew what I was getting. And using the Pathfinder panel became more of like a guessing game every time I would use it. So the shape builder tool has changed a lot of that, and I'm thinking you might find it really helpful as well. So actually the session that I'm going to be showing you today, this illustration, the scene that we're going to create, is actually from a session I taught at Creative Pro Week some years back. And I just think it's such a good example, but it's also a really good example of the kinds of great content and lessons and learning and just mind-blowing stuff that happens when all of us creatives get together for Creative Pro Week. So this next one's coming up next month already at the end of June into July. So June 29th through July 3rd. We're going to be getting together in Nashville, Tennessee, and having like creative camp for creative pros. Lots of great learning, some hands-on stuff. I'm going to be teaching a couple of sessions this year. One, I'm going to be showing how you can make fonts using Photoshop, keeping it real simple, but it's going to be some hands-on fun stuff. And I'll be showing some digital and analog techniques to add a human touch to illustration. So if you think any of that sounds fun, we're going to have tons of speakers. It's like a week of, I forget how many tracks there are, but it's like lots and lots of amazing info-packed sessions with the industry pros and top instructors, and it's going to be a good time. So if you think that that's something you might want to check out, you can save $100 on your pass over at creativepro.com/events if you use the code livestream. Okay, let's pop over to the chat and see what we have going on in here. Hello to Mary Beth Lambert tuning in from Maryland. Welcome. And oh, look at that. Can't wait for Creative Pro Week. Me neither. It's going to be a good time. Let's see. Oh, Dedicated Design says used InDesign and Photoshop all the time, but still have some confusion with Adobe Illustrator. I feel you. I feel you, Dedicated Design. It can be a little bit of a tricky beast because of just the nature of vectors. I don't know. I mean, I think everyone kind of has their things they pick up real quick and easy. For me, that was Photoshop and InDesign, and then I had to really like commit to wrap my head around Illustrator. But hopefully what we're gonna go through today will help you out with that too. So this will be great. All right, so keep your questions and comments coming in the chat, and we can pop over here and take a peek at how this is gonna work in Illustrator. So here, I just have this on the left of our artboard over here, just I don't know, for reference in case I forget what we're doing. But this was what we'll be building, but we're going to do it from scratch over here. So I'm going to hide this for right now. And I've got some swatches in my swatches panel that we'll be using. But the main thing here is that all of this stuff, we are just going to create, we're going to use the ellipse tool we're going to draw circles. Okay. We're going to draw circles. We're going to draw straight lines, 3 straight lines, some circles. And that's, oh, and we're going to use the pencil tool to just freehand these little cutouts here from these leaves. But like, that's it. This whole illustration is happening with just those things. And that's what I find really fun about Illustrator is it's actually simple. And I think when we struggle with it, it's because we are overcomplicating it. At least I know I was. So let's dive in and take a look at how the shape builder tool is going to work. So the first thing that we're going to build is going to be this wave shape. Now, if you're new to Illustrator, you might be thinking like, okay, I have to draw a wave, but we don't have to draw a wave. And we certainly don't have to draw a bunch of waves. We're gonna use a few simple shapes and combine them into a C. It's gonna be pretty fun. All right, so I'm gonna grab my ellipse tool. So that is over here on the toolbar. The keyboard shortcut is L for ellipse. And I'm just gonna draw, I'm holding shift to make a perfect circle. Otherwise you could end up with an oval. So I'm just gonna draw a circle, I don't know, like maybe this big. It doesn't really matter because we're working with vectors. And then I'm gonna deselect that and I'm gonna choose a different color just to make it easy to see what is happening here. And I'm gonna draw another circle. So I'm holding down the shift key again and just dragging to make this nice little circle. If you also add the space bar, then you can reposition it too while you're dragging, which can be kind of nice. So that's it. We just have 2 circles right now. And I'm going to add a third shape, which is going to be with the rectangle tool. So the ellipse tool keyboard shortcut is the letter L for ellipse, and the rectangle tool keyboard shortcut is M for marquee, right? It seems kind of funny, but that's what it is. And I'm just going to draw, oh, let's make this one a different color too, so we can see just really easily what is happening. So I'm just, and the placement isn't like totally crucial, but let's line up the centers of these guys. There we go. And we'll just snap this, hopefully, to that center point. All right. So if I highlight all of these, you can see kind of what's happening here. So this is the shift that you want to get yourself into this mindset when you're working in Illustrator, is to just be thinking about how you can use shapes to build other shapes. So you can see that we're approximating this kind of curve here. And I might move this out a little. I hope I'm not ruining it when I do this, but there we go. All right, so another way that can be helpful to view all this stuff is to go into outline mode. So to see that, we're gonna press Command or Control and the letter Y. And that just helps us see where these shapes are overlapping without looking at all the color fills, because then you can't really see unless you select them all. So that works, but this can be also helpful too. All right, so we have all these things selected. So I'm dragging with my selection tool up here. I'm just clicking and I'm throwing a net over all of them so that they're all selected. So that's the key thing here, is that we want them all selected. And now, like previously, if you've only ever used the Pathfinder tool, that is this panel right here. And then you have to look at this and be like, what do these different buttons do? And we can try minusing things and we end up with, I mean, we could make this shape work into a wave. What does this one do? Nope, not what we want, not what we want. It just kind of gets messy and confusing and my brain doesn't like it. Some people love it, but if you are not a fan, the shape builder tool is gonna change your world. All right, so the keyboard shortcut for it, because to be honest, I never can tell what a lot of these tools are. I end up just using the keyboard shortcuts because I don't know, they're so complicated over here. So the one that we want is Shift and the letter M, because the shape builder tool makes everything super mucho better. So Shift M, and we can see that that is this tool right here, the shape builder tool. Now, the way that it works is as our different shapes are all selected and they're overlapping, we can now go in here and decide which segments we want to keep or remove. Okay, so Illustrator is viewing all these different overlapping pieces as potential shapes. So we really just have the two circles and this rectangle, but Illustrator is now recognizing that there is a different shape formed right here where these two circles overlap. And that leaves another shape right here. There's another shape down here or here, etc. So by default, you can see that the cursor has a little plus sign to it. So if I were to click right now, these shapes, wherever I click, would merge. So what we want to do is actually subtract right now. So I'm going to hold down the Option or the Alt key, and you'll notice that plus sign on the cursor turns into a minus sign. And now with that being a minus sign, all I have to do is click to remove a piece that I don't want. So I can come over here and I can click to move away those pieces. And I feel like that's looking pretty good. Then I want to merge all of the rest of these. So now I'm going to go back to that default mold or default mode. So I'm letting go of the Alt or Option key. Now I get a plus symbol next to my cursor. So now I'm just going to come in here and drag through all those bits, and when I let go, they all become one shape, which is great because now we can edit it. So I'm going to switch to my direct selection tool over here in the toolbar. That is the white arrow, the second one from the top. So this tool lets us select individual nodes and points that we can then edit. So first I'm going to come over and I'm going to click this guy because I want to grab this node right here and pull till I smooth out that curve. And then I'm going to come over here and select this point right here, which brings up this little corner widget. So you can see that there's this is the anchor point right here. And then this little corner widget lets me smooth out the corner. So I can click on it and simply pull, and I have a smooth wave, right? All right. And I don't know how tall I want this to be. I don't think it matters a whole lot. So I'm just going to leave it like this. Now, we're going to take this single shape, and wouldn't it be great if we could like just duplicate it out like this? And we can. Spoiler alert, we can. I'm just holding the Alt or Option key and then dragging it, and that makes a copy. So we could do that, but we don't even have to do that manually because guess what? Illustrator is so fun. And this is one of the things that just makes it feel like a superpower. Check this out. Instead of manually doing that, we're going to add an effect basically that is going to do that for us. So I'm going to move this over here. And let's actually choose a color first. What color? Let's make this, where did my mouse go? Let's make this lighter pink color. All right. And let's put an effect on this that's going to turn it from one wave into however many we decide we want. So I'm going to come up to the effect menu, and we're going to choose distort and transform, and we'll choose transform. And now we're going to get this panel here. And in this case, I don't want to scale it. I want to move it. So I want to move it horizontally. Let's see. I'm just going to highlight this, and I'm going to press the up arrow. And if you hold the shift key down, it'll move a little faster for you. But I basically want to position this so that this left edge of it is lined up right here with the crest of this wave. But I don't want to lose that first copy. So down below over here, I'm going to tell it I want like 5 copies. And when I hit tab, check out what happens. We just took this shape that we drew right here, and we duplicated it 5 times and moved each piece by some set amount. In this case, it ends up being just shy of 3 inches. Okay. How perfect is that? So I'm going to click OK. This adds an effect to that simple shape, which we can see if we open our appearance panel, which I always think of, it has this little icon like a sunshine. So when I want to shed some light or shine some light on what's going on with my piece, I go to the appearance panel and we can see that we've applied this transform effect. So if we need to change this later, maybe we want only 3 copies, or maybe we want to adjust the spacing or whatever, this is where we would come and double click to bring this window back up. Okay, so an important thing to point out at this point is that these are virtual, right? It's an effect. So it's like an illusion. It's not real yet, which is okay. But if we needed it to be, we could expand it. But I think it's okay right now. But what I mean by that is if we go back into this outline view, Command or Control Y, then we're seeing we only have one actual shape, which is the first one that we made. The rest are all virtual copies that were created when we applied this transform effect. All right. So sometimes you can leave things in their virtual magical effect state, and sometimes you need to expand them, and then that makes them real. It takes them from a virtual effect and it magically makes them real, like the fairy godmother who waves a magic wand and makes Pinocchio a real boy. Okay, so right now we have just a spell on this wave, but that's fine. All right, so let me zoom back here and I'm just gonna position this. Maybe I made it too big. I don't know. We'll see. But I'm going to duplicate it by holding Alt or Option and dragging another copy down here. And let's change the color. And we'll kind of offset it maybe like so. And then I'll duplicate it one more time and we'll make it this darker color. And this has me like ready for, I don't know, a vacation somewhere, right? All right, so look at that. In just a matter of seconds, we created a whole beachy, wavy scene by just drawing 2 circles and a rectangle. Isn't that cool? Let's pop in on the chat and see how everybody's doing with all of this. Yes, Mary Beth is excited to learn about this tool. Bruce, welcome from Santa Cruz, California. All right, you guys, let me know if this is sinking in for you and if it's making sense, because it's kind of a different way of thinking about this, especially if you're coming from a Photoshop world. Working with vectors can really feel like a lot sometimes. All right, so we're gonna get back at it here. And let's see, what are we doing next? I think we're doing let's do some palm trees. Yeah, let's do some palm trees. All right, so again, we're gonna create these leaves. Where'd they go? These guys. I hope we can do a better job. What are these leaves? I don't think there's probably not a palm tree on the planet that has leaves quite like that. So not sure what I was thinking, but let's do something better than that. So we're going to go back to our ellipse tool. Keyboard shortcut is the letter L. We'll grab a color over here, and I'm going to hold shift while I drag that perfect circle. And I'll switch to my selection tool by pressing V for very important tool. And I'm going to hold down Alt or Option to drag out a copy. And when we select both of these, what we're looking for here is this perfect shape that we get when these 2 circles overlap. So again, we could reach for the Pathfinder tool, and I think it's this one. Yes, the intersect option. So you could do it that way, but of course my favorite way is with the shape builder. So it's the super magnificent tool, Shift M. And now you see here, we can roll over all the different sections. So what we want to do is get rid of these bits on the end. So we'll hold down Alt or Option, because again, the default mode for Shape Builder is to add and merge things together. So to subtract, we hold down Alt or Option, and then we click here and we click here, and boom, we have a leaf shape. So what we're going to do to carve the little fawns, I don't know what you call them, the little leaves out of the big leaf, is we're going to use the pencil tool, which I have come to really love in Illustrator. The keyboard shortcut is the letter N as in pencil, and it's over here on the toolbar. So if you need to wrangle your pencil tool settings, you can double click on it at any time, and that brings up different settings that you can tweak for how it behaves. That's another thing that's pretty different about Illustrator. If you're used to Photoshop or InDesign, when you select a tool, the controls for that tool are generally up above in what we call the control panel or the options bar. In Illustrator, there's some things up there, but the tool specific settings you often get to by double clicking on a tool. So I've got my pencil tool here and I'm going to set the fill to none, and I'm just going to choose like some wild, what's going to show up well here? Green, maybe? I'm just going to choose a wild color for the stroke so you can see on the screen what is happening. And then I'm just going to use this tool and I'm just going to basically do this and this and this. And you can see I'm not doing anything impressive or amazing. Not at all. I'm just trying to put add some interest to this shape. Now I'm going to switch back to that very important selection tool by pressing the letter V, and I'm going to throw a net over the whole thing. And it looks like this. So now we're going to go back to our shape builder tool by pressing Shift M because it's super magnificent. And again, we're going to switch from the default of add mode to subtract mode by holding Alt or Option. And then I'm just going to go bzz, 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 and I'm going to buzz away all these parts. Plus, let's be real and just acknowledge that the Pathfinder panel is not this much fun because you don't get to just like buzz pieces away. And I think that's really fun. All right, so now I'm going to switch back to my very important selection tool by pressing V, and I'll shift click on the leaf. So it's kind of hard to tell, but hopefully right now, just the little pencil marks are selected. So I should be able to hit delete. There we go. And the pencil marks disappeared. So now we have our palm tree leaf and we need a few more of them. So I'm going to press R for the rotate tool and rotate it maybe like this. And I'll switch to the very important selection tool and hold down Alt or Option to bring out another one. Oh, and I could have rotated it, but let's flip it. So I'm going to press O for reflect. The O keyboard shortcut brings up this tool here, which is the reflect tool. So I suppose if you think of like the letter O being in the word opposite, we're going to turn it the opposite way. So now with the reflect tool active, I can just click and drag and it will flip the other way like that. And we'll move this in place and I'll hold Alt or Option and drag a copy down and rotate it maybe like so. And again, drag down another copy. Ooh. It takes a minute to get these rotated the way that makes sense. So maybe that's kind of like a tree, right? All right, let's select both of these guys. I'm going to press O for opposite. And if we hold down the Alt or Option key when we click and drag, we get this option here, which enables us to choose copy. And then it makes a copy at the same time. So I'm just going to move those into some kind of shape. I mean, I don't want it to look super perfect, and it's just a loose approximation of a palm tree. With these bottom leaves, would they be bigger, do you think, or smaller? I don't know. I'm going to make them a little bigger. Okay, so something like this. Now I'm going to group all of these so I don't have to keep fiddling with it. So I'm going to click and drag across all of them. And we'll make it into a group by pressing Command or Control G. So that maintains that they're all separate pieces. It's just that now they're kind of all in a basket so I can pick them up and move them around together. All right. So we're going to make a few of these. So I'm going to put one up here maybe. Where did I put all these? And we'll make another one. I'm going to hold Alt or Option again and drag this down. There we go. And we'll scale this guy a little smaller down here. Dun, 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 dun. And one more over here. All right, so I'm just hovering outside the corner of the bounding box, and that gives us the ability to rotate something without having to switch to the rotate tool, which is kind of nice sometimes. I think I want this guy a little higher off the canvas. There we go. All right. Oh, okay. So our palm trees are now floating in space. We should probably give them a leg to stand on. So guess what? It's super easy. We're going to grab this tool here. This is the line segment tool. The keyboard shortcut is backslash, right? That's a backslash. It's the one next to your bracket keys. So with this tool, we want to use the fill set to none, and we want the stroke set to whatever color we want to use. So I'm going to use the same color as this. And this is super easy. I'm just going to draw a line. Oh, wait, I lost my tool. Here we go. So I'm just going to come in here and I'm going to click and I'm just going to drag down some line that goes off the page like this. So you can see it's really thin right now. And that's all right. Let's drag two more. One there and one here. And I'm going to select them all. So I'm going back to that very important selection tool. I can press the letter V. And I'm going to hold the Shift key so I can select all three of those lines at once. And let's thicken them up a little bit. So up here in the control panel, we do have access to our stroke settings. You can also find that in your properties panel if you like to work that way. And I'm just going to bump this up a little bit. And palm trees don't typically have rod straight trunks. So let's adjust these. Check out how easy this is. If we press Command Y. Nope. What am I doing? Shift C. There we go. Shift C for convenient. And now you'll notice if I hover on this line right here, we are able to use the anchor point tool to click on this and just curve it. Look at that. And we can come over here and click on this and curve it. And we'll click on this one and curve it. We'll curve it too. Maybe I want to move this so that it's crossing because I like that. All right. And if we want to move this point at all, we want to switch to that direct selection tool with the keyboard shortcut A. And that looks pretty good. But it would be nice if our trunks could be a little bit wider at the base than they are at the top. So this is another one of my favorite tools, which is the width adjustment tool. I forget what it's called. The width tool. Okay, the keyboard shortcut is Shift W for width tool. And the way that it works is we can just grab a point. Let me zoom in so you can see down here. So this is just our line, right? It's not a closed shape. It's just an open line. There's no fill. It just has a little stroke. And what we can do with this width tool, this is what the icon for the tool looks like. what we can do is just grab a point on that line. And if we click and pull, we're able to widen the stroke at that point. And then because we did this at the bottom and not at the top, you can see that the top is still narrow. In fact, we could click and narrow the top even more. So now we have a wider stroke at the bottom and it gets narrow at the top. So we can come over here and let's do the bottoms first. So we'll click down here and all you do is click and then pull out. So click and pull out. And then we'll come up here and maybe I'll narrow this down. So if you've never played with the width tool before, it's awesome. So very much worth checking out. And maybe that was a little too much. Now I feel like our tree is like wimpy. Okay. Don't blow over, tree. All right. So look at that. We just created all of these things and we didn't have to draw any of it really. Let me see what's going on in the chat. You guys have questions about all of this? Let's see. Oh, Mary Beth says this is excellent. Well, I would like to know, did everybody know about all of these different features, or is this totally new to you? Or maybe you did know about it, but you've just never really clicked before. It's one of my favorite things to show because I was one of those people for whom it did not click for a long time. So you don't have to be shy. We're here to help. That is why we are here. All right, let me show you one other fun thing. We'll make a sun, obviously. This is like a fun sunset scene. So I'm going to plop a sun in here and I'm going to give it a nice rich red color, and I'm just moving it so it's in the background. I love this. We have to go back to the chat real quick because I love I love that Dedicated Design says, your examples always help me to remember. Well, I'm so glad to hear that. They help me remember too. I always have to think of funny little ways to remember this stuff because it's so much, right? And it's so complicated. So I'm glad that other people are finding it helpful too. All right, so I drew this little circle here and I put it to the back by just pressing, what did I press? I don't remember. The keyboard shortcut, it's such an automatic thing. Let me see. And now I can't, I can't even remember. Oh, there it is. Command Shift left bracket. That moves it all the way to the back. Of course, you can also, if you right click on it and you choose arrange, you can choose here to send it, one level back or all the way to the back. So Shift Command or Control on a PC and the left bracket key. All right, so that's looking pretty good. These are really big waves. I feel like maybe the sun needs to be bigger. There we go. That looks better. All right. The last thing that I want to show you is to put this fun radial burst in the background. And I just like to show it because it feels really impressive and it can really just add so much life to an illustration, whether you're creating like packaging design or whatever. And it's one of those things that if no one shows you how to make it, you might try and make it like the most really hard, complicated way. And so I want to spare you from that. So we're going to put in this radial burst here. Let me remind you what I'm talking about. So this, right? These sun rays. So to do that, we're not going to draw them. Oh, goodness, no. For this, we do need a tool that, depending on your toolbar setting, you may not see. And so you want to make sure under the window menu, you're going to go down to toolbars and you want to be working in the advanced toolbar setting. So you can feel really fancy about that. I don't know that it's advanced. I think it's just like gives you access to all the tools. All right, so let's hide this real quick so we just don't have too much of a mess here. And I'm gonna make a new layer just to make a new layer. And I'm gonna put the color of this layer to something we can see, like cyan, maybe, I guess, so we can just see it. Okay, so the tool we're looking for is buried beneath the line segment tool that we just used to make the stems or the trunks on the palm trees. So the keyboard shortcut is that backslash. And then buried, when you're in advanced tool mode, toolbar, buried beneath that, you'll see something called the polar grid tool. And so when you select it, nothing happens. And if you click and drag with it, who knows what you're going to end up with. So instead of clicking and dragging with this tool, we're going to just click. Nope, I lied. There we go. Just click cleanly, one little click, and then it's going to pop up your options. So you can tell it how you want it to be before it gets built. So this canvas, I think, is like 12 by 12 inches. So I'm just going to make this huge. We can always scale it down later, but I'm just going to make it 24 inches by 24 inches. We don't need any concentric dividers, so I'm going to put a 0 in for that. And for the radial dividers, I think I wanted 40. I think, yes, that is what we will do, and then we will click OK. And for whatever reason, it put it way, way over here. What are you doing, Illustrator? Why are you doing this? Come on. All right. So here it made this cool, crazy looking thing. Now, we can color in these radials however we want using the live paint feature. And the keyboard shortcut for that tool, because again, I can never find anything on this toolbar. So I'm screwed if I forget the keyboard shortcuts. So live paint bucket is K. I don't know how to remember that. It's the same letter as my first name. That's how I guess I can remember it, but that's the one we want. So the live paint bucket tool. So you'll notice if we click and hold, there's the live paint selection tool, not the one we're looking for. We just want the live paint bucket, letter K. And when we select this tool, we get kind of like these 3 colors that we could choose from. And well, 3 at a time it shows up here. But if we use our arrow keys, what it's doing is flipping through our swatches in the swatches panel. So I'm going to navigate with my arrows until I see this yellow swatch in the middle. And then I'm just going to click on any one of the rays. And then I'm going to use my arrow key to move to an orange color and click again. And then I'll move back to yellow, click. So I'm going right arrow, click, fills with orange, and then left arrow, click, fills with yellow, orange, yellow, orange, yellow. There's probably a faster way to do this that would like just magically fill it in. But that's not what I did today. So I don't know. If someone knows, you can put that in the comments. There is an option, I think, when you are in the options for this tool, there was something about coloring it in or whatever. Maybe that does it. I don't know. I've never messed with it because I honestly, I think it's kind of fun to do it this way. All right, so that's it. That's our radial starburst, and I'm just going to drag it down in the layers panel so that it's behind our illustration, and ta-da, here we are. That's it. Now you might be wondering, okay, but we've got this crazy mess. I just want to make everything nice and neat and tidy on the actual artboard. And I feel you, because I do too. So what we can do for that is we're going to grab our rectangle tool. So the keyboard shortcut is M, again, for marquee. And then we're just gonna actually set our fill and everything. I think we can do it while it's empty. And we're just gonna draw a little box around the canvas. And then we will use our very important selection tool, keyboard shortcut V, to click and drag to select everything on there. And then we're gonna create a clipping mask. So we'll go to Object, Clipping Mask, Make. And that did not work. What did oh, I know, we probably have to expand our waves here. That could be part of it. So let's do that. So I'm going to select these 3 waves and let's go to Object, Expand Appearance. Remember earlier when I talked about making things real, taking them from an effect where they're virtual copies and we're making them real? That's what I did there. And I'm going to just fill this in with a color real quick and make sure it's on the top. Let's try this again and see if it works. Object, clipping mask, make. I don't know why it's all going into a, oh, because I have everything on different layers. Okay, so let's move. My bad. No wonder. We got to move this guy and drag him up to the same layer here. There we go. This layer can go in the trash. And we'll move that behind. All right. Do we still have our, nope, we lost our box. All right, let's try this again. There we go. But I think we can do it while it's empty. So I'm selecting everything, and now we'll go to Object, Clipping Mask, Make. Ta-da! And it all snaps right to the artboard. So what we did there was we used that square shape to basically just tell Illustrator that everything that we've selected needs to only show up in that box shape. So we call that a clipping mask. And I was trying to do it with things not all on one layer. So that was the problem. But now we have it all there and it all fits so nicely. So there you have it, a look at how to make a pretty simple illustration here in Illustrator. We didn't even touch the pen tool. We just used circles, like rectangles. So an ellipse, a rectangle. We used the pencil tool to just scribble the little lines for cutting out the leaves, the little slits in the leaves. And we used the polar grid tool to make that radial burst that is so cool. And the live paint bucket to drop color in there as well. So let's pop over to the chat. What other questions do you have? This is great. Oh, thanks. Graphic Endeavor says, I totally agree with examples being easy to remember. Well, that makes my day. That's what we're here for. This is great. Well, let me know if what you liked the most out of this. Do you see yourself using the shape builder tool now that it hopefully feels a little more confident, a little more approachable? So just remember that you have to take all of the pieces that you want to build together and select them all, then use the shape builder tool. So Shift M is the keyboard shortcut. Remember that the default is always in add mode. So if you want to switch to cut pieces out, then you have to hold down Alt or Option. Otherwise, it will just add everything. And it's a super fun and easy way to work. So this is fun. Oh, great. So Mary Beth says, super helpful. Thank you so much. Well, thank you, Mary Beth, for being here and joining us today. That's fun. Well, I appreciate everyone's comments, and yeah, I hope you guys had fun and learned something new. And if you have ideas for something else that you would like to see us cover in another Creative Pro live stream, you can pop it down in a comment below or in the chat. And if you want to come join us in Nashville, you can save $100 at creativepro.com/events with the code livestream. So thank you so much for joining me today, and I hope everyone enjoys the rest of their week. We'll see you next time. Bye-bye.